Hello, everyone. It's Michael Gibson back again on Why I Go to Church. This is part 29. I go to church because I'm pregnant with a promise, and no more miscarriages and no more abortions. I know those words can really get you thinking about, natural life. And Dr. Miles Monroe, hey Wayne, how's it going, sir? Dr. Miles Monroe, he has a quote that says, one of the richest places in the world is a cemetery. Hello, Joyce. Love you so much. It says one of the richest places in the world is a cemetery because it's full of people that died with their dreams. And as a parent that has lost a child, I know what it is to lose a baby. I know the pain that it costs when you lose a child, the agony, the what ifs, what the potential is in your mind. You have these, just aspirations. You wanted the best, and sometimes you think, why did I lose this child? Why did it have to go? There was so much greatness that was going to be bestowed upon, this little one. So I know the pain of actually losing a baby. But, I actually got to hold my baby. And so I understand when Dr. Miles talked about, yes, forever in our hearts, babe, forever in our hearts. And as I walk with God and as I still learning to mature, I'm beginning to see that I do have a promise, that God promised me some things, and I will not get those promises if I don't stand firm on a more sure word of prophecy, and that is His word. So that's why I go to church, because I need to dive deeper into His word and understand a more sure word of prophecy. So I know it's very difficult to lose a baby, but imagine that you have been carrying a baby for so long and you never got a chance to hold him or hold it. I know that would probably be devastating. I know it was devastating to lose a baby that I had a chance to hold, but imagine losing a child that you never got to see, that you carried for months and months and months and months. You felt it turning, you felt it growing, you felt it taking strength from you because it was feeding from you to grow. You felt, the morning sickness. You were up half the night and you never got to touch it. You never got to see it. Or you carried that baby for those months and someone told you that it's not worth keeping the baby. And let me tell you that when the baby is born, when it is conceived, it is a baby. My child, he died at a young age, but when he was conceived, it was a baby. All the potential, all that he was to be was in that seed. And I was faced with a dilemma in life at once, thinking of that it wasn't a baby at conception. But it is, because when we discovered that there was an issue in the womb, we began to get these 3D and 4D ultrasounds, and I began to see my child grow in the womb. I began to see it go from a peanut. I began to see it go from a peanut to an alien to looking like a child. So through the months, being able to see in the unseen realm that it was life, that thing went from a peanut to start having legs, to start having eyes, to start having a heartbeat, to start having lungs. Then it went through and came out. It was alive. That's on the natural. But the same thing happens in the spiritual side. And I've given up on enough dreams. I've had people talk to me enough that you abort some of the things that God gives to you. And when I'm beginning to learn that it's not worth giving up on the promises that God gives you, it's not worth giving up on it, because you've been carrying it for so long. It's been eating at you. It's been taking strength away from you because it's trying to survive. It's trying to live. It's trying to grow. And one of the worst things is when someone tells you to give up on your dreams, give up on your hopes, to give up on your aspirations. I come to tell you today, don't give up on any of your hopes. Don't give up on any of your dreams. Don't give up on anything that God has promised to give you. Because even though you can't see that baby, it is a baby. It is a baby. Even at the thought, even at the conception, if you give it enough time and you bring it to full term, it will come to life. Time can be an enemy of your faith, and time can tell you that it's not worth the battle. It's not worth the morning sickness. It's not worth throwing up. It's not worth not being able to go to sleep. It's not worth losing your appetite. It's not worth gaining weight. It's not worth the contraction. I'm here to tell you that it is worth the contraction, that it is worth the pain. It is worth seeing it to the end. Because as I stated first, the grave is one of the most richest places in the world because it is full of a lot of people that let their dreams die. They let their dreams die. They let their dreams die. And this earth is full of a lot of hurt people because they are aborting their dreams. The thing that they thought about, that they knew they could do. The thing that they knew that God gifted them to do. The thing that they knew that they were great at. They let people come in that were haters and cause them to abort their dream or to miscarry their dream. Because when you are pregnant, when you are carrying a baby, you just can't do the same things that you always did. You cannot do the same things that you always did when you are pregnant. When you are pregnant, you can't just go and lift weights like you used to because you have a baby inside of you. You just can't go on a roller coaster. You just can't go to higher altitudes at certain points in the pregnancy. You just can't eat the same food when you're pregnant. You cannot be, or it's not recommended to be around smokers when you're pregnant because the chemicals from their smoke will harm your baby. Well, it's the same thing with your spiritual gift, with your spiritual baby that God is trying to birth inside of you. You just can't do the same things that you used to do and think you're going to birth the baby that God has given you. You can't eat the same food and think you're going to bring out a healthy baby. You can't. And I remember going to birthing classes with my first child. And they would tell you, the signs and the things that you need to do when the baby comes out. And they would tell you got to blow in the baby's ears and how to wrap the baby, how to swallow the baby, and all these things that you need to do to bring that baby, to calm that baby, to nurse that baby. It said when the baby first come out, they teach the mom how to get the baby to latch on, and that when the baby latches on, that it might be painful and what you should do. It's the same thing with God's dream. When God gives you a dream, you got to get in a place that is conducive to help you birth your dream. You got to stay in a place that is conducive to help you birth the dream that God gave you. You got to stay in an environment. You got to get some midwives. Yes, some midwives. So people that actually know how to handle a baby, that can tell you how to swaddle the baby, that can tell you that after your baby is delivered, what you need to do to carry the baby, that it can grow up to a full child, to a mature child. That's why I stay in the environment that I'm staying in, because my baby has to get legs. My baby has to grow. My baby must become a man, must become a tangible thing that I can hold, that I can touch, that I can taste, that can love me back, because I've been carrying it for far too long to let it go. Some people will try to get you to abort their baby because they aborted their baby. They aborted the promises that God promised them. No more miscarriages. No more miscarriages. I can no longer listen to people that didn't carry their dream full term. I can no longer listen to people that refused to let some food go, that it should have never been eaten. I'm no longer going to hang with people that want to smoke things that are putting chemicals in the atmosphere that could stunt the growth of my baby. I want my baby to function and live normal. I need my baby to function and to live normal. to have a healthy child is the dream of every parent. Guess what? The dream of your God, your creator, your father is for you to have a healthy, wholesome baby. That it does the things that God said that it would do for your life. Because God said that his blessings maketh us rich and addeth no sorrow. His baby. His baby. So you got to get in an environment where you can birth your baby. Where you can get in an environment where someone that actually birthed their baby can teach you how to birth your baby. Someone that gave their baby an opportunity to live. So I want to encourage you, don't squander the opportunity to get in a place to grow in the things of God. Because there's truly a baby, a promise that God has spoken to you that he wants to bring to pass. He wants to bring it to pass. But just like in the natural, to bring that baby to pass, sometimes you got to change your diet. Sometimes you're going to feel some contractions. Sometimes that baby's going to be positioned weird where you will not be able to sleep. Sometimes you got to look a little dirty and grimy. Sometimes you have to be in a place where you're willing to be uncomfortable enough because the life that is on the inside of you is worth the pains. Worth the pain. You have to be in a place where people see that, hey, they're going to be okay. The baby's just growing. They might look a little disheveled, but the promises and the dream is just growing. They may be even losing a little bit of their hair, but the baby is growing. They might even be breaking out, but their baby is growing. See, when you're around people that ain't never birthed anything, and your hair, you start to look disheveled, you start to look unkempt, when you start to gain a little weight, they'll say there must be something wrong with you. Because look at them. You look horrible. Look at them. You look horrible. Look at you. You all sweaty. Look at you. Look like you ain't had any sleep. Look at you. Your eyes are all red. You might as well quit what you're doing. No, I've been going through too much to quit. God has made too many promises to me that I'm not going to quit. That I am not going to quit. Because there's no way that you would tell a pregnant woman to stop what she is doing. Even though her hair may be crazy. Even though her mood may change every now and again. Because at different stages of your pregnancy, your mood is going to change. There comes a point where you look so beautiful to yourself. Then there comes a point where you feel so unnatural to yourself. Then there comes a point that you've been carrying this baby so long, you say, get it out of me. The same thing happens with your natural dreams and the natural spiritual baby that God has given to you. There's going to come a point where you love the idea that I got a great ministry coming. You love the idea that I have a great business coming. You love the idea that something new is coming down the pike. Then you start looking funny to yourself because your environment's changed. You can't eat the same things that you used to eat. You can't sleep the same way that you used to sleep. You can't lay the same way that you used to lay. You can't walk up the same flight of stairs that you used to walk up. You can't pick up the same things and hold them the same way that you used to hold them because your baby is beginning to grow. And then there becomes people that look at you when your baby begins to grow and you start to look disheveled because guess what? I didn't sleep last night, so I didn't get a chance to wash or bathe myself. I can barely do what I can do just to get through the day. There's going to come a time when your dream and your business and your goals are going to get so heavy that you're not going to be able to bathe every day. You need to be around somebody that says, hey, I've been there. Hey, Ramonica, I know what you're going through. And it's worth it because when you have this baby, you may feel that contraction, but when you see the baby's face, it is worth all the pain. It is worth the blood, the sweat, and the tears. It is worth the knife for some of the women. It is worth the incision where I will never be the same again because I had to birth this baby. Some of the things that God given you today, you will never be the same again when it's birth. You will never be the same again when it is birth. The problem is, don't give up on your dreams. Don't allow somebody that ain't never birthed a thing to cause you to abort a thing that God's given you. Never allow somebody to cause you to miscarriage. To say, I got to put this thing aside because it ain't worth it. Pregnancy takes time. To deliver a baby, it takes time. And it takes checkups. They have to go. It takes going to the doctor to take the ultrasound to see what you can't see. To see in the unseen realm. So you may think, wow, my baby haven't kicked in a while. I don't know if the baby still has a heartbeat. I don't know if my baby has a heartbeat. I don't know if my baby is on the inside of me is living. So you go to the doctor and he takes that stethoscope or whatever that thing is called, the ultrasound thing, and he puts it on there. And you're worried because you ain't felt it moved in a while. You ain't felt it kicked in a while. And he puts it up and you look at the image and you see, dum, 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 dum. You see that it's alive and you feel okay. That's what happens when you go and get into a place where you have somebody that can see in the unseen realm when you can't see. That's been where you've been when you ain't been before. When you're pastor, when you get in the word and you begin to be able to discern that my baby is still alive. Because the enemy will say that your baby is dead, that your baby has no heartbeat. It'll say that your baby's lungs is not developing. But when they put on that ultrasound and they begin to see, they see that the baby is alive. They see that the baby has breath. They see that the baby has a heartbeat. Your baby still has a heartbeat. You just got to trust and believe and lean not to your own understanding, but in all your ways acknowledge him and he will direct your path and he will cause your baby to be born. He will cause your baby to be born. So don't abort the promises of God because you don't feel a heartbeat. Don't abort the promises of God because you don't feel the baby moving. Because just because you don't feel the baby moving don't mean that the baby is dead. Baby could be sleeping at that time. That baby could have been moving when you was asleep. But you still feel the effects of the baby because your stomach is growing. And then when your baby begins to grow in the womb, people begin to come around you and they can see the baby move. They can see the baby kick and they get real excited. And when people get real excited about the birth of the baby because your stomach is so big, but you can barely sleep now because you are so uncomfortable. People become so comfortable with your uncomfortableness, they think it's a great thing. When you're trying to birth a thing, there's going to come a point you become so uncomfortable because that baby is ready to be delivered. And when the baby is delivered, it's amazing how when that baby is delivered, everyone wants to come see you. Everyone comes in the room. Everyone says you look so great, even though you know you look horrible. You've been drugged up because you took the epidural and everyone says you look so great. And there comes a point where the nurse hands the baby to you and it's a reality. Then 3 days after being in the hospital, what happened to all those people that said you look so great? Where are they? They leave. They leave. They leave. The people that said you look so awesome, that you look so great, and your uncomfortableness. The moment you birth the baby, where do they go? Most of them you never see again. You're lucky if you get a card. So what I'm saying is that once you go through the process of carrying your baby and you don't abort it or you don't miscarriage it and you birth that baby, it's going to be you and Jesus to see that baby through. You and your father. So those of you that have children, you know what it's like. That first couple of days in the hospital, people with you. People with you. They're doing the shifts. But when you get home, and that baby wakes up in the middle of the night and crying, and you can't keep your head straight, where are the people then? Where are the people then? When that baby is throwing up and colicky, where are the people then? When that baby don't want to go to sleep, where are the people then? When that baby is crying the whole car ride to wherever you go, where are the people then? Is you and your spouse or your significant other helping you get through it? Where the people then, where the baby won't fall asleep, you're rocking the baby in your arm because now you done delivered, now you done birthed it. You rocking it, and you think the baby is ready to go to sleep, and you go to put it down, and the baby wakes back up. Where are the people then? Where they at? So what I'm telling you, that we serve a God that said he will never leave you comfortless. He will never leave you comfortless. He said that he will never leave you nor forsake you. You got to get to a place where someone will never leave you comfortless. Your dreams, your aspirations, put them in the hands of God, because he's the one that has given you the dreams and the aspirations. He's the one that will make sure that you will not miscarry his baby. Because when you hang around God's word, his will becomes your will. When you hang around God's word enough, his will becomes your will. That's why the thing that is on the inside of you is going to walk. But once it walks, once the baby is born, it's not enough to say, I've birthed the business. It is not enough to say, I've birthed whatever it is that you birth. Now you got to feed the baby. Now you got to nourish the baby. Now you got to guide the baby. Now you got to teach the baby. Now you got to clothe the baby. It's the same thing on the spiritual side. When God births something on the inside of you, and when God is birthing you, you're going to go through all kind of crazy looking faces. You're going to go through all kind of crazy different stages. But just know that once you birth the baby, once you birth the dream, it ain't over. It's just starting. So you got to stay in a place to nourish the baby, to feed the baby, to clothe the baby, to teach the baby, so that baby becomes a full-grown adult. That baby can begin to actually minister to you. Because you give so much in trying to birth that child. And once that child comes out, you and your partner, you and your significant other, has to do a lot of things to nurture that child. And the same thing happens on the spiritual side. God has made many promises. And as long as you still got breath in your body, as long as you still can open up your eyes, God can cause your baby to birth. And God will help your baby live. So I go to church because I am pregnant with a promise. And I'm not going to abort this baby. I'm not going to miscarry this baby because I've been through too much growing pain. I done gained too much weight. I done lost too much hair. I done been through too many changes to give up on the God that promised it. Because I know that once I birth it, it's worth it. And I know that once I birth it, I have to stay in a place to keep the health of my baby. In closing, too many of you serve God and honor God when you're pregnant. Then after you birth and God blesses you with that blessing, somehow you forget that it is God that got you through pregnancy and allowed you to birth it. So your baby really doesn't mature. Your baby begins to be malnourished because you forget in the one that actually blessed you with all that you have. So I know I've been on two different levels. I'm talking about business and I'm talking about just being blessed by God. Just know that you got to stay in a place where there are actually midwives. You got to stay in a place that people will recognize that you may look a little crazy, but she's pregnant. You got to be around people that say, hey, that dude is screaming right now. That's just a contraction. He's on to something. He's about to birth something. You got to stay in a place where someone can actually drop a word then to allow your baby to grow. So I want to encourage you to get in a place where God can feed your soul. Where God can feed your soul. And not only feed your soul, but sustain your baby so that it may grow to full maturity. If this has blessed you, share it. Thank you for those that chimed in. I saw the hearts. Thank you for all of that. Have a great day. Michael Gibson, out.